sure that everything is turning on live so people can watch us on the Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. But so I'll give you time to share it, like it, and tune in and let you guys know that this is Dr. Paul Bridges live. I'm talking to Ms. Demetris Curry. But first, before we get on, Ms. Demetris, let's talk about who you are and what you do and how much you make money for tons of people. Because really, this is about money, and people love to talk about money.
Yeah.
They love to talk about it, but they hate doing it. So
they do.
There's a difference.
It is. It's a huge difference. Well, thank you for inviting me, number one. I really enjoy being on platforms with you. We have some really good conversations. We do. Well, I am Demetris Curry. I am a wealth strategist, and I own Inspired for Greatness, LLC. I am the CEO and founder of that corporation. And one of the things that I do to help people make money is, number one, control risk. That is the main thing that I really help people with, including banking institutions and commercial entities that call upon me to help me with whatever type of planning that they're doing for their clients. So I'm in that area of helping people make money and protect them against losing money. So that's my area of expertise.
We'll talk about this again and get it in and out, or however you want to put it, but how can people want to get a hold of you if they have specific questions about them?
Okay. Well, the first way to reach us is by phone, easiest way. Our toll-free number is 844-932-8779. And of course, they can always make an appointment with us at our office at office@demetriscurry.com. That is the most easy way to get in contact with us. But of course, I would love for everyone to share with us and join us on our social media platforms. They can go to Call D Curry on Facebook, and then also on Instagram, they can look for Demetris Curry. So we can get connected, and LinkedIn is also Demetris Curry. But more than anything else, we just want to get the word out there that there are ways to change your finances.
Pandemic, Corona, I don't know how many months we're in this. It's last March. Yeah. It started, it really kicked off. But I would say savings ended. If it started in March, savings was done March 30th.
And quite honestly, Paul, when you think of the statistics of everything, there are so many people that do not have a savings.
Mm-hmm.
That do not have a savings. I mean, you're talking about maybe 3% of the entire nation with some type of savings, and that is very low. That is very low. And COVID-19 just made it even worse.
Well, I have 3 cents in savings, so does that make me less than the 1%, the 3%? At least I have something, right?
Some things, a little bit. At least you got a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. But the thing is that the question is, where do you find the money to even save, right?
Right. Like where
the money?
We don't have trees and plucking this out of nowhere. So people are like, well, I work, I pay my bills, I have a couple of loans, I'm extended on my credit cards. So where is all this I'm saving? Like you say I can save, but where?
Well, the first thing is I did a training on this last year. I want to say it was around June or July of last year on one of our Wealth Wednesday segments about how to find money in your house, right? There are so many ways to find money in your house. And I'm one of those people that I don't care. I pull up with some cushions. I flip some cushions over if you need to. Find some change, some quarters, some pennies, whatever you got to do. But there are ways to find money in your house. Believe it or not, if you were to pull out some of your statements
mm-hmm.
and some of the things that you're paying for that you don't use anymore, maybe some subscriptions that you are used to having. We use our Netflix, right? Well, you also use, other things like our Amazon Prime. That's another thing. But those are the type of things that we have subscriptions for. Some people use them faithfully, others don't. So if you are working and, trying to cut back and trying to find savings, then start looking for those things that you're not using, that you're paying money for every single month, and start putting that $5 away, that $10 away, that $15. And by the time you finish going through all of it, you may find $100 in your house per month that's just been leaking out little by little and you didn't realize it.
Now, it's almost like you're trying to get people to be more cognitive of what they're spending and how they're spending.
Exactly.
That starts at a young age if you're not taught how to watch where money is going. Because if you think, I'm thinking about my childhood and not having much. Okay, we were poor. So there wasn't much to watch out for because there wasn't much going out and not much coming in. So as an adult, we try to fulfill that gap as we make our money. We're like, oh, now that I have, now I can spend. Yeah. Isn't that the difficult part there?
That is the difficult part. I'm gonna go back in history and tell you about an experience that I had. Can we do that?
Yeah.
So, because let me tell you, when I bought our first home many years ago, we're talking about, back in 1999. That was back in the day. When I bought my first home, I was so set that I was gonna find a way to get that down payment, right? Mm-hmm. There wasn't no more nails getting done. There wasn't no hairdo. I'm not going to the hair salon. I can't right now. I can do my own shampoo and conditioner. Okay. Oh, steak. Oh no, we're doing red hots and some mustard on the sandwich. Okay.
Right.
I'm being real here because what you have to do is we have a way of, sort of deciding ourselves, our lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. What we want to have and what we want to have. But if you know that you're overspending or you're overextending a little bit, you have to pull back on those areas that you can. Those type of areas like, going to the mall and going to Starbucks every day, get you a $5-10, cappuccino. All that stuff adds up, right? It adds up. But if it's not in your financial budget to do so, then you have to pull back a little bit and say, you know what? I'm going to save that $50 this week. I'm going to the fast food. I'm going to save, because that fast food adds up $5 a day. You know what I mean? And all of that adds up where you can still create some form of savings if you pull back on the areas that you know you can do without.
Okay,
just for a little while.
Well, hold on. I'm going to do a little pushback because the pushback is, now I'm not a salesperson, but I've ran my martial arts studio, self-defense, and protection businesses and stuff. And I always tell people, if you want to get healthy, you got to look at ways that you can cut back so you can spend money for yourself to take care of yourself, right? Like in a lot of like fitness centers and fitness clubs, they would use that. If you're going to spend $5 a day on coffee, that money adds up to 1 month membership at a club where you can go work out and keep yourself healthy. So if we're all using outside of mortgage and paying for this, and we're all financial planning, health and fitness or protection or whatever, is using the cup of coffee, that $5 a cup of coffee has been split up 7 ways. So how would you put things in? And it's tough because we don't want to tell people what you can and can't do, right?
Right.
But I don't think people know how to prioritize, if that's a word to use in this situation, to say this is good, but this isn't good enough.
Right. And that's where you have to sort of start dissecting what's more important for you.
Okay, for you.
Right. For you.
Right.
Because every individual is different, right? So for me, I need my gym time. I need my workout time, right? Because it helps me in other areas. Keeping my mental right, keeping my physical. I need that time, right?
It helps your husband. I love your husband because it helps your husband. You need to go to the gym. Demetris, go to the gym.
And he does. He was saying real quick, he was like, oh, you need a stress reliever. Go to the gym.
You need to go to the gym.
But that's the truth, though. Like, I got to have that time for me. But I'm the one to tell you is that I go 3 or 4 months without getting my nails done. Hey, I got a file in my bathroom. Hello. That's just me, but it's not on my priority list. You see what I'm saying? What's on my priority list is trying to make sure that I'm healthy, trying to make sure that, I'm eating well, to make sure that I'm taking care of my physical as well as my mental. That's more important to me than everything else. So it depends on the person itself. of what do you think is more important to you. Now, let's be realistic. We're talking about wants versus needs. Yes. What is your need? Mm-hmm. Not your want. What is your need? And take care of that need. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I sit down with a client, they love me when they walk in. They may not like me when they walk out.
I believe that.
Yeah, because when we do that conversation, we talk about some stuff that's really scratching below the surface. Mm-hmm. And I give them that disclosure. Okay, what we say in this room right here is private. It does not extend outside this room. You can say whatever you need to tell me. You can tell me about your wants, your needs, your hardships. You can tell me the raw truth about your finances, right? And I'm going to ask you, how are you doing on your savings? How are you doing on your payments every month? Are you making enough money to meet all your payments, or are you overextended? Those are questions that I may ask. I may ask them, do you have a car note? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have any insurance? Okay. Do you have any children? Are you the only source of income in your household? If anything was to happen to you today, do you have a backup plan that will continue to pay at least your needs versus your wants?
So when we open up like that, mm-hmm. and me doing emotional science education, mm-hmm. There is what I would like to say, what I am going to say, and what I'm afraid to say.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know those three levels that is talking at that time. Because as you're talking, as I'm in your office, this is a gorgeous office, by the way. As I'm in your office, I'm afraid to tell you that I am hurting emotionally being broke.
Yes.
And so I'm obviously here because I want to be better, but I don't want to let you know that I'm emotionally traumatized from being broke. So those chemicals being released about what I'm going to say isn't what's happening inside the body that stops you from success. Because I'll tell you, I'm okay. And you'll go, and you've probably heard that before, like, I'm all right. Yeah. You're like, mm-hmm. Like, mm-hmm. I wish this person just tell me the truth, because once we get to the truth faster, I can help you better.
And that's where the relationship comes into play.
Okay.
Because instead of sitting down with you with just a checklist and say, okay, give me this, we don't do that. We do it in the form of a conversation. Tell me what your wants are. What are you trying to achieve? If they don't know what they're trying to achieve, okay, so I'll break it down a little bit further. Do you want to retire in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? How much longer do you think you can work in this particular position? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you tell me you can work in this position 10, 15 more years. I got you. How are you looking on making that happen? Do you have anything saved? No, you don't have anything saved. Okay. Do you have another source of income? No. Okay. Are you the only person taking care of you and your kids? Okay. That tells me that you have the dream of retiring in 15 years. You have not had the opportunity, or something has happened in your life where you have not been positioned to put away a few dollars per month to make that dream a reality. And so if that's the case, that's where we need to start, right? We're going to start at, okay, this is what we have so far. What do we need to do to help you get there?
Right. What do we need to do?
Exactly. What do we need to do to help you get there? And so because I'm in risk management, I'm going to make sure that you're not overly risked in your areas. So if you're an investor of some sort, if you are buying this type of investment or that type of investment or this type of insurance or that type of insurance, have you positioned yourself as a safety net to make sure in that 15 years, regardless of what happens in the economy, are you set to still meet that goal? Or are you overly extended in one area that can put you at too much risk? And that's why
are people buying now in this economy? Because I believe it's a buyer's market. It is a buyer's steal right now. Yes, and I love commercial realty, and I love commercial property, and even homes. I'm telling you, this summer is going to be foreclosure city. Am I right? I mean, if you're looking at financial, if you're looking at like okay, I got a little couple dollars and I put some stuff into some stocks because stocks are great. I'm telling you, buy airlines. I've been buying airlines because they're so down so low. American Airlines, all their stock is down around $14-12.
And see, you're on the higher risk side of the track. So when you look at it like a lever, you ever have those little levers that you sit on like a little seesaw?
Yeah.
Okay, so you look at it that way. On one side of the seesaw is low risk to no risk. On the opposite side of the seesaw is high risk. And what you're talking about is things that are more like stocks and things of that nature that you don't have any protections against markets. I'm on the opposite side of the seesaw where you're able to invest in the market.
And have protection.
But if the market crashes with inflation or recession, the products that I put you in allow you to reap the upside and protect from the downside.
So I'm glad you explained that difference. And you made the point there is a difference, but explain the difference. Because some people say, well, I don't know nothing about stocks. Paul, how do you do the Forex? How do you do the Bitcoin? How do you do that? Right. Luck in having a little extra cash. But what's the other side? So thank you. See? Yeah. Back to basics. Welcome. Explain the difference. Because some people don't know that they can do this on the other side. They think it takes X amount of thousands of dollars, and it doesn't.
Yes, and you can, and I love the opposite side because I'm risk adverse than some other people. I'm moderately risky. Now, I do have a few dollars that I'm willing to put away on some, some high risk stuff, some stocks and some cryptocurrency and things of that nature. But that is money that I know that I can play with. And if something was to happen, I know I have something to bounce it off of. I have something to level me out. You have to have something to level you out if you're a person that don't want to take on a whole lot of risk and you know that you have a set goal 15, 20 years down the road of where you're trying to be. Last thing you want is for something to happen like an economic crash, an inflation or recession, and then what you thought was going to be the number one thing that gets you to where you want to be is gone, and then you have to start over. So that's why I tell people to have that risk assessment, and you got to sort of know yourself. Do you have the tolerance for that kind of
stuff? I'm not sure if we should trust, because knowing yourself should also know that you don't know enough. And one of those things I remember this great quote is that the illusion of knowledge is more dangerous than the ignorance of knowledge.
Oh, that's good right there.
Because people think they know and they will do instead of, and so I think knowing yourself enough to say, I don't know, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys, the professionals, to handle my money.
Yes, and that's when you work with someone like me, I sort of pull that out of you to figure out what your tolerance is. Most people don't know what their tolerance is, right? And so they're like, I want to do this because I hear that this is good, and I heard that it was going good in the stock, and I heard that, the S&P was doing this and that. Yes, you can still get part of the S&P. You can still take advantage of the S&P, but how you put that money away and what vehicle you use to put the money in will allow you to still take advantage of the S&P. But if the S&P flops on this particular vehicle, you're protected. On that other one, you're not.
I've asked people two questions. Why do you think every news station, if you ever listen to any news station, any news report on TV, they're going to talk about the S&P and the Dow. And if you don't know what those things are, you are more lost economically and financially than you are anything. I mean, if words are saying, and you don't even know why, every day, I mean, they're talking about this, and you have no idea what that is. So explain what the S&P and what the Dow is, and why people use that as a metrics of how the economy moves.
Well, this S&P stands for the Standard & Poor's, right? And so most people, when they're working with economic stuff, especially here in the United States, that's one of the most popular ones to look at because we have a lot of our companies that trade on the S&P, like our large cap companies and our small cap companies. When I say that, I'm talking about people you use every single day, like Home Depot, Lowe's, and going to Dillard's and Belk and all these other places that you go to every day, Toyota, you may be driving a Mercedes and all. Those are the things that are commonly on the stock market to have some type of stock that you can buy. Even the airlines, like you mentioned, and, things of that nature.
Electricity.
They trade. Electricity, yes. You use electricity every single day.
Why not put money into something you use?
Look, even your cell phone, right? Even your cell phone, no matter who your carrier is, they probably traded on one of those. And so what you're talking about is corporations that have got on to trading, and they trade on these economic platforms. Mm-hmm. And most of those are the Dow Jones and the S&P and things of that nature. Now, you can also be a part of other stock market platforms, but these are the ones that's most popular here in the North America and the United States. So that's what you're speaking of.
So what is, I have $100 mm-hmm. I can give you. Mm-hmm. Am I going to be rich like Beyonce? I mean, what are we saying here? What's going on? I got $100 I can give you a month.
You got $100 to get him up. So what you trying to do with that $100? What kind of return are you looking for?
So again, I must know what I want.
You have to have some type of idea what your thoughts are. So let's just say you have $100,
and I want to pay for my grandkids' college.
If you come to me and you say, Demetris, I have $100 to spare per month. I want to put it away in something that can make some money, some cash accumulation. I want it to grow for me. All I care about is growth. I want it to grow for me. And I want to somehow leave it for my kids and my grandkids. I'm going to look at some fixed products for you. Okay. I'm going to look at some indexed products for you. Because one thing I'm going to also note is how old are you? Because how old are you tells me really how much lifespan you have, right?
I'm old enough to remember when Diana Ross was on the #1 pop charts.
All right.
And that was after the Supremes.
Okay, after the Supremes. Oh my goodness.
And I also remember when Diana Ross was in the #1 on the disco charts.
No, you've been around for a minute. You've been around for a minute. Was it before or after she played on there with Billy D?
It was after, right?
See, I remember too. I'm telling my age.
You're telling on yourself.
But this is the thing though. You can take something like $100 and you can put it in something liquid, like a savings, aggressive savings.
What's an aggressive savings? What does that mean?
Oh goodness, you asked a really good question. Aggressive savings, you can do like a high interest yield savings account, which will give you much more return than you put it in a regular brick and mortar building bank. Like when I say brick and mortar building, I mean a bank that you find on the street, the little street corners, right? Those are brick and mortar banks, we call them. Then you can put it into something like an online banking system or possibly another product, another vehicle that gives you higher return. I tell people if they know that they have a fixed amount of money to play with, they want to get a certain amount of money out, especially for a particular reason like college building, college funding, let's look at indexed markets. If you follow stocks in any way, you know that my friend Warren Buffett, he's real big on index markets, right? He's real big on that. So if you want to put it to something that's going to protect you a little bit against the downside, but give you a continuous growth, I would start looking at the index side of the house. But it just really depends on that person. I look at how much discretionary they have, how consistent they feel they can be in putting it away, how much time do they have to put it away. And then I'm going to look at some really good insurance products for them that will allow them to have a lot of cash accumulation and still have that feeling, huh? So
insurance. There goes one that my mama had insurance, my uncle had insurance, people have insurance, and they leave these, and they always used to, those old things. Make sure you grab my insurance policy. You grab that little booklet with the little leather bound on it. But people don't invest in insurance because they think it's only this.
Ooh,
They're missing so much in money when it comes to insurance.
Let me tell you, I prefer to operate in the insurance side of the house for that reason. And let me tell you why. It's because corporations have been doing it for centuries, Paul. They have been putting money in insurance products. And when they get ready to pull money from the insurance product, they are basically loaning against themselves. Now, what does that mean? That means they're borrowing against their own life insurance policy. Just like you going to the bank to get a loan, they pulling it off of their insurance product without having to get approval for it.
Because you don't
have to ask nobody to do it. They ain't got to get approved to do it. If the money is there, they have authorization to pull it off as they see fit and put the money back on as they see fit, right? I love that concept because it's what is called an infinite banking concept. And the infinite banking, and unfairly enough, infinite banking usually takes the middleman out of the equation, which is the banks. And it allows you to be your own bank by being able to get into that policy, pull money from it, buy your home, buy your land, pay off your debts, pay off a bill for your business, build a business, expand a business. You can pull those monies off.
Isn't that financial freedom?
Yeah, that's financial freedom. And being able to put it right back on the policy, let it gain that compound interest. And by the way, it protects you from a downward market, unlike going to an individual stock.
Because people know of insurance as if they've seen a movie or heard a story, how insurance companies rip them off by giving them a high policy and taking their money. How does that work, and how do I be careful of that?
So what you want to do is you want to first get the right agent.
Call Demetris Curry at 844-932-8779.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you now. You have to be, in with the right people to do the right things. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there's a lot of great agents out there, wonderful agents out there. I have a lot of partnerships with thousands of agents across the country, and I send them business, they send me business, whatever the situation is. But what I love though is when you are working with something like this, if you know your goal, when you sit down with your agent, there are insurance products out there. There are a slew of insurance products out there that are geared only towards cash accumulation, Paul. Cash accumulation.
Wow. That's
There are products out there that will allow you to use it as your own banking system, infinite banking. But you must be with an agent that actually knows how to customize that particular policy to be an infinite banking product, okay? Not all insurance products do that. Some of them are not structured to do that, okay? But if you're working with an agent and you tell them, hey, this is my dream. I want to be able to be my own bank. I want to be able to pull money from my policy to build my business. In 5 years, I want to buy a Subway. In 10 years, I want to buy McDonald's. Whatever you tell them that you want to do, and that should help them customize it to get you exactly where you want to be. Now, if they don't offer that product and they offer something else, then an agent that is looking out for you will connect you with an agent that does provide that product.
Because not all agents do the same thing.
Exactly. And then some agents, unfortunately, are captive agents, and they can only sell you what they have, right? If you get with an agent that is non-captive, and when I say non-captive, that means that it's an agent that has access to a slew of different products on the industry, versus just the ones that they're allowed to sell.
So you can go into the office and say, "Are you a non-captive or captive?" How do you have that question?
You can ask them. Do you sell just your product for your company, or are you able to get other products on the industry that you don't necessarily sell here?
Gotcha.
Because if they have access, and most brokers are able, like myself, to actually go to other areas and buy product that is in need of the client. That's more important than anything else. As an agent, we take on the responsibility of making sure we put our policyholders in the policy that they need, that is best for them, not just because that's the only thing that my company that I write for sells, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay. So, and we see that sometimes where an agent wants to sell, but because of that, because they need to sell and they want to sell, they can only get you what they provide. That's not the right thing to do. It's the best thing to do is to partner with another agent. Say, hey, I don't offer these type of ABZ products, but I'm getting clients that do need it. If I bring them to you, hey, can we come up with some type of agreement? I'll work with you some, you work with me some. I'll shoot you some people that I can't use, and you shoot me some people you can't use. Let's just, try to help out one another. Can't pay your referral because it's illegal. Okay. But I will be more than happy to partner with you in some way and just refer them to you. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's important to have those type of relationships.
But I keep thinking about, I think about my mom, and that's a lot of times when I look at something, I'm like, would my mom do this, and how would my mom feel if a person talked to them this way? Not me, because I'm outgoing, I'll ask questions. But my mom, I remember when she was alive, she wasn't a person that would ask questions. She was just a person because she trusted people. She really did. And I don't want people to be so fearful or rigid or negate people because they're like, do I trust him about what they're saying? And so, because a person will try to talk you and say, because I don't know what I want.
Right.
So if I don't know what I want, I'm coming in your office trying to, and you're already, a person maybe already trying to sell me when not trying to find me.
Right.
And and so that's why I do so much of mental health information, because if you don't know who you are, someone can always misdirect you to anything they're going to give you.
And they can tell you who you are, but you don't know who you are.
Right.
And that's the truth.
That is the truth. That's just the truth.
But, and thinking about what you just said as far as working with seniors, not all agents are equipped to work with seniors, okay? When you're working with seniors, when they get to a degree in their life, they don't want anyone to just come in and give them anything. You know what I mean? They don't want you to just sell them something and just to have a sale, okay? Because their livelihood is based on it. Mm-hmm. And they're in their retirement years, and they're not going back to work, and they can't spend no unnecessary money. It needs to be money that makes sense for them, that's going to help them, that's going to protect them, right? So that's why when you're working with seniors, and I have quite a few senior clients, is that I ask them some really hard questions to say, okay, so you have been retired how many years? What do you plan on doing with these amount of funds that you have saved up? Because most seniors have some type of pension or Social Security or some type of income that they've been sitting on, maybe a little savings that they're sitting on. And a lot of times they'll tell you, I want to leave this to my grandbaby. I want to leave this to my son. I want to make this payable to my sorority sisters. You know, we have that too. They want to leave money to their charities, all kinds of things. And I had this situation, I want to say a year and a half ago. I had a senior to sit in my office, 75 years old, love her to death. I still call and check on her all the time. What you doing? But she was in a position where she had never dealt with money before. Her husband had passed, and he was the person that always dealt with money. And because of that, she said, D, she held my hand, and she said, Miss D, listen to me, baby. Listen to me, baby. You know when they say listen to you, baby, you gotta listen.
You gotta listen.
He said, listen to me, baby. She said, I ain't never did this before. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trusting in you. I need your help. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
And when you sitting down with someone, they say, you know, they already nervous and shaky because they've never done it before, and now they're on their own. Mm-hmm. They're not with that spouse anymore, and they're afraid to make the wrong decision, right? We took ample days, hours. We bet week after week after week just for her to come in and sit down and say, hey, I just checking on you, before we finally decide to do something.
Because I know
But sometimes it takes that building that relationship and making her feel comfortable with me, because she was referred to me by another client. So I was new to her. You know what I mean? So with that, now we talk all the time. But at that time, she was like, hey, I don't know where to start. I need your help. And I'm be honest with you, I ain't never did this before. I'm scared. If you are an agent and someone sits in your office and say, baby, I'm scared, I don't know what I'm doing, you better listen.
I hope so.
And
I really
open
do.
up.
Yeah.
Open up and listen and pay attention. Listen to what they are telling you is important to them, what they're afraid of. Make sure you protect them from their fears. Because the last thing that you need is for something to happen to this person and they entrusted in you and they're already upper in age and it causes a mental and physical hardship on them because now they feel like they made the wrong move. And that's what you definitely don't want to have.
So we just had a president that left and we have a president that came in. A lot of the times the market fluctuates because of the so.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the last president that left, the 401k plan did the best it has ever been ever before.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to be afraid that the new president coming in, that their 401k is not going to do so well. Is there a way to protect that money influx? Is that to move it over to a Roth account or an IRA? I mean, should that be moved or should we just keep it there to see what happens?
So in that case, just to give you a little backdrop, normally when there's an election that's going on and we are going back and forth on who's going to end up being a winner, you got all this stuff going out in media and so forth. When corporations are normally happy, 401ks usually do better. Okay? That's just the facts.
Right.
If corporations and a lot of companies that's out there, they normally pretty happy, then 401k does pretty good. When corporations are not as happy as they would normally be, right, then you'll have a lot of fluctuation in the market on 401ks and so forth. That's normal. That's historic.
That's historical. It just
that's
happens.
Historical. You can see that on.
It's like seasonal.
Yeah. It's like seasonal. You can go out there and do a research on when is the best time for 401ks to do better. Normally, when corporations are happier, then 401ks do better. But the thing is that when you have an active 401k, they usually allow you to change your allocations within your 401k if it's active. And when I say active, that means you're actively working with a company and you're contributing money to it currently, right? That means it's an active 401k. Then you have allocations and stuff that you can change of them based off of your tolerance. And this is an individual to individual basis, Paul. I never tell people on a cookie cutter approach of how to do that, just to keep them from any type of protect them against, she said I should do this, or she said I should do that. You know what I'm saying? What I tell people to do is based off of their tolerance. If it's fluctuating too much for them, they need to talk to whoever is the brokerage firm connected to their 401k, and it may be, a number of these firms that's out here that maybe, and talk to them about guidance on how they can change their allocations to give them a little bit more conservative allocations or even a little bit more protection within their 401k.
Or we just call you.
Oh, no, don't do that now.
Yeah, we just call you. Just say, I'm having a problem. Call Demetris.
See, there you go. You acting up, Paul.
Hey, because people don't want to make the phone call. That's just a fact. People are not going to make that phone call.
What they have to, though. This is your money. This is your livelihood. So pick up the phone. Just like you pick up the phone and talk to your girlfriend and say, girl, you won't believe. Yes. Just like you do that, pick up your phone, call your HR, find out who your person is that's attached to your account. Listen, I ain't liking the way this market is acting. I want this to such and such.
But if being poor and not able to handle money is a sickness, I'm not going to call. I'm just
and if that's the case for you, then your tolerance level, what you're telling me, is not so great.
Right.
Okay. So if your tolerance level is not so great, then we need to be looking at how are you allocated with your 401k. Are you too aggressive? Are you moderate? Are you a little conservative? Because remember, what is my area of expertise? Risk management, right? So we want to make sure that your risk is not too high, not too low. You know what I mean? Because when you come to me, I'm going to put you in a product that has the ability to protect you against a downward market. The 401ks, the stocks, and things of that nature, that's on the other side of the seesaw. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
The side of the seesaw that I'm on is more so the life insurance products that allows you to get involved with the market, but protect against the market. So those are going to be the areas that I'm going to actually help you on. But if you have an existing active 401k, you can bring it to me, and it'll be part of what we do on your suitability analysis to see what you have.
Right.
It'll give me an idea how aggressive you are in your 401k. And I'm going to ask you, how are you feeling about your tolerance level? How are you feeling about your gains? How are you feeling about your losses? Oh, because I actually have people say, hey, I made real good in the S&P this year. You know, I feel real good about it, right? And then when they have a drop, say, I should have moved it.
Yeah,
I should have did it.
Yeah, and they'll do it. Yeah.
But you never know what's going on in the market. And when you have ups and downs of economic yay, nay, you know, you have to know that you're okay to ride it through, right? It's like you're riding the wave. Mm-hmm. You're surfing through those highs and lows. Do you have that tolerance? If you don't have that tolerance, then I'm probably the person you need to call to say, hey, I want to get involved with the market. I want to make sure that I can get a product that I can get the upside. But when it goes into inflation or recessions or a downside, I wanted to lock my money that I put in there and don't let me lose anything. Then that's when you need to call Demetris Curry.
On a financial economics, do you think the pandemic put us in a recession, or can we just not call this a recession because really no one's working?
That's a really good question.
Because I know people are using the terminology to draw people in and push people out because of the words they're using. And I feel personally, I'm not sure if we can call this a recession, even though we are in recessive issues.
Right. And you're exactly right in that. They are not specifically saying, economists is not specifically saying that we are in a recession, okay? Not specifically.
But we are.
And the reason why I say that is because of all of the factors that equal the recession, I call Campbell's soup of a recession. All of the factors are there in one big bowl to say that that's what we're going through. I saw this morning that we were more unemployment numbers are in than higher than ever before. More people have applied for unemployment in the last week than they have in any other week in last year. I mean, that's historic highs for us. And we're in 2021 now. We're not in 2020 anymore. It's still rolling over, right? And then those people that have cut back their hours, corporations and companies that have cut back hours for their staff, there's no longer having a full staff of people. Maybe they've had 20 people before, now they got 10. So they've cut back their fixed costs on paying their salaries to staffs and employees and things of that nature. All of those things come into play, right? All those things come into play. The amount of money that we're able to put back into the market and shopping and discretionary income and all of that has dropped tremendously, right? Because as you know, America operates off of debt and us owing debt. Yes. And so when we are lower in providing more debt, and I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to buy a new car, I'm going to buy a new house, I'm going to buy all this, I'm going to buy all the extra stuff. That means you're being a little bit pulled back on your money. You're pulling back because your money is not as high as it used to be. Correct. You know what I'm saying? Or even if you are in a position where you're doing pretty well and everything's consistent, for safety measures, you're still not going to do all the extra stuff that you used to do, like travel. We're not putting as much in travel right now, right? So imagine those hotels, those resorts, all those places that's used to being full and packed right now, right? Or even during Christmas time. Christmas time is a really big time of the year for people to get away and go to the warm places, right? Versus the cold places. They didn't have that much this year.
And I'm just taking advantage of it because as things go down, the little money I have, I'm putting money into those venture type capital programs because they're not going to stay down. And when it does go back up, my little $14 stock that just turned over to $220.
There you go.
You can't even fathom the imagination of what that increase is. Like $14. That's right. I mean, because it's going that way. It will go that way.
Yeah. But see, you have a higher risk tolerance than some people. See.
No, I just don't like being broke.
But you're putting some money into a area that is, you don't know when it's going to grow higher.
No, I don't.
But you know that at some point it's going to level out, right? And that is the surfing board. We're talking about surfboard. Hey, that's the surfboard. We're talking about of the waves, of riding the waves of the economy and the stock market, because you really don't know when it's going to level out. But at some point,
it will.
You say, hey, I know it's going to get back to where I want to be. Either if it's a year, 2, 5 years, whatever it is, that $14 going to $200, you're like, oh, I made some real good loot.
well, because the government's not going to let transportation fail. That's just it's impossible. You're just not going to let transportation fail. Yeah. Before we take off, Demetris, give how people can get a hold of you and where they can touch you, where they can call you, especially when they want to save and do risk management.
Yes. Get in contact with us. Easiest way is through our toll-free number. You said it a couple times today. It was 844-932-8779. Also, reach out to us at our office at demetriscurry.com. If you would, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. That is going to be some of the areas where we put out more and more details, what you can do, how you can get some risk management assistance, counseling, and things of that nature. So our Facebook page is called D Curry. That's CALL, the letter D, CURRY, called D Curry. And then also, of course, you got LinkedIn, Demetris Curry. So we are so excited to just be changing some serious lives, Paul. Changing some lives. And I want to see you make that money.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul. This is Mr. Demetris Curry. Thank you so much. We just need to talk more about money. People are a lot of differences and afraid of their own personal success. And I think there is a sickness with money. I just think, and I think this because it's something so personal with themselves, what they either not ever had or had. Because we could talk about the difference between financial with Black America and difference between financial with white America. And I think we keep looking across the way and say, why can't I be that when you can just be what you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Paul, and one thing before we leave, I want to make sure I express this, is that even if you think that you are not where you should be, you have to start somewhere. Okay? So take the first step. That's the main thing. I mean, you owe it to yourself. You wonderful enough to owe it to yourself to say, hey, I gotta take care of me. I gotta learn how to take care of me and my family. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna learn this. Take the first step. We'll walk you through it. Make sure it's not overwhelming. But when we sit down with you and dissect stuff, we'll give you some strategy ideas of how to help you take advantage of the market, but protect yourself from a downward side. It's going to be important to get that started one step at a time, y'all. One step at a time.
Thank you. God bless everyone. Everyone have a great evening, and I'll be talking to you later. Thanks, Demetris.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.